Hello, cool cats and kittens. I don't know. I don't know why I said that. I don't even know where I've heard that. Well, this is going well, isn't it? 11 minutes in, and I've already been the lamest I could probably possibly be. But welcome back to the Woe Pony podcast. This is being recorded live from Riverside Radio in Battersea in London. This week's topic of the week, if you're an avid listener, you'll know that we pick something and we gab and chat rubbish about it for the time that we have left of the show. This week I've chosen spooky, weird, as the topic. Halloween special. It's Halloween on Monday. I think it's probably my favourite holiday of the year. Probably. I was very into the dressing up when I was little. Still am now. However, as I've gotten older, I have fewer places to go. But I've found some stories on the web, as it were, of weird things, spooky, Halloweeny vibe things that you almost won't believe are real. As usual, I've not sort of read all of each story. I've just kind of scoped them out, sort of proofread them to check there's nothing naughty in it. And I'm going to live the reaction with you at the same time. So let's get into it and have some Halloweeny fun. I wish I had some spooky sound effects, but I don't actually know how to do them on the system. But if you're watching on the YouTube channel, or indeed on TikTok, which apparently has become my life now, then I'll add some in there, shall I? I'll add in some spooky sound effects like ooh. Moving on, Grace. Okay, first little story, 2 lines, just to ease us in. My mum has been struck by lightning twice. She was inside her house both times and in 2 different houses. Talk about bad luck. See, I was about to say I'm not sure if that's real or not, but the purpose of these stories is that they're so shocking and weird, they're unbelievable. So the next story says, I have the rarest type of synesthesia. If people don't know what synesthesia is, I mean, I'll struggle to say it. It's when your senses intertwine with your body differently. So this person has the rarest type, which means that she can taste words. It's called lexical gustatory. Lexical no, I'm going to say that I was right the first time. Confidence. And less than 2% of the population have it. I have to physically say the words out loud to taste them. So reading them silently to myself won't do it. Okay, I was going to say, what a nightmare. When I was younger, I'd always repeat words that tasted good in my head, but avoid saying words that tasted bad. That's odd, isn't it? I wonder what Grace tastes like.
Moving swiftly on.
Little story number 3. I'm allergic to the cold. I get intense hives and swelling. I pass out and throw up. It doesn't even have to be freezing. If it's below 45 degrees Fahrenheit, I don't know what that is. What's 45 degrees Fahrenheit? Someone shout it out. Oh, 7 degrees Celsius. That's not... I mean, it's chilly, it's nippy, but it's not very cold. Oh, gosh, you better be layering it up. If it's below 45 degrees Fahrenheit and I'm without a jacket, I can't do it. I have to carry an EpiPen with me in the event that I drink something too cold or have a severe reaction. There's a dog barking outside. Probably no one else can hear that, but it distracted me so much I had to address it. Imagine being allergic to the cold. That is so stupid. You'd be having allergic reactions all the time, no? Oh, that's too much life planning. You've got to always carry a coat with you. I don't know. Let's not talk about it anymore. Next story. An elderly woman died 3 seats away from me on a plane. We were only 1 hour into a 7-hour international flight. Sorry. Sorry, this has actually just reminded me, that I have a story of my own. Sorry to that man or to whoever experienced that. That is very sad, very awkward, and I've always wondered how they deal with situations like that. Because even if they move the person, the air hostess has to deal with that, and then you've got to just keep on your flight knowing that there's a dead person on the plane. Oh dear. I've actually got a story of my own, so strap in. Mine's dare I say, mine's better than that story. And this is my own story. It's not something I've pinched off the internet. So a friend of a friend, a colleague at my workplace, told me that their daughter's friend is an air hostess. She was on a flight and an elderly woman brought her husband onto the flight and he was in a wheelchair. She asked for some help transferring him from the wheelchair to the seat because he was asleep. And they said, yep, no problem. And he looked very cosy. He was wearing a scarf and he looked very peacefully asleep and they didn't want to wake him. So they helped transfer him from the wheelchair to the seat. They struggled a bit and then that's when a fellow passenger came up to them and said, excuse me, I'm a doctor and I can tell you that that man is dead and appears to have been for some time. The elderly woman, the wife of the dead man, broke down into tears and said that she couldn't afford to have her husband's body flown back home, so thought that she'd declare him dead after they'd got their plane journey back because they'd already paid for the tickets. It's just, I've got a lot of questions in that scenario. Still, I got told it a couple of months ago by a friend from work, and I've still got a lot of questions. I know that some people can do really silly things or desperate things if they've not got the money for stuff, but you can't just carry your husband's dead body around an airport. How did no one notice as well at the terminal before they left? How did he get all the way to the plane? I mean, imagine if that doctor wasn't there. She'd have got away with it. Sorry, I know I shouldn't laugh, but weird, innit? Uncomfortable. I can't stop thinking about how the air hostess must have felt, or the air host. Imagine someone saying that, and then you just sort of look down and you've just helped lift a dead body. I did hear that apparently she needed some time off work. Awkward. That was my little story that I have. Let me know what you think of that story. It still haunts me and shocks me to this day. On to the next one. When my nana was just a teen, she escaped a satanic cult and rescued 14 girls who had been kidnapped and were being hidden in the attic. Okay. My dad's cousin was an activist in the 80s against the neo-Nazis, okay? One night he was in bed, but a family member had a bad feeling and decided to call him to see if he was okay. He got up to answer the phone, which was in the kitchen, and while he was on the call, a bomb went off in his bedroom. That phone call saved his life.
Well, what are the chances?
I mean, you know, that funny feeling you've got. My mum's a bit like that. She has the intuition. That's the sort of thing my mum would do. But I probably wouldn't have answered the phone if I was the dad in bed. Although this was the 80s, actually. So, you know, people probably ignored their phones less. Nowadays, people are kind of sort of sick of their phones because they're there all the time. No, anyway, we're branching off. Next story. I was cutting vegetables in my kitchen and a fly was buzzing around my head, so I swung around with a knife in my hand and somehow managed to slice the fly clean in half. No, I am sceptical about that one, and I know that I'm supposed to be. That's very dangerous. Right, hold on, let me just put myself in that kitchen. Slice in half. You have to be telling me that blade on that knife was the sharpest thing on earth. Must have been, surely. I know that probably a fly isn't very hard to cut, but for that precision... Blimey, who do you think you are, Gordon Ramsay? That actually reminds me of another story. I've got all my own stories today. A friend told me once that there was a bee or a wasp in their house, and their brother was getting really, really annoyed with it. And at the time, they were pinging stuff with elastic bands, you know, like what are they called? Slingshot. You know that thing that like Bart Simpson has on The Simpsons? They were doing that, and this wasp bee was really, really annoying them. So they decided to get a needle and just, you know, try and see if they could it went down like a sack of spuds, and they went over, and the needle had pierced the bee wasp. I would only not believe that if it wasn't my friend that told me, and I trust this friend that told me. How odd is that? Okay, maybe if I believe that, maybe I need to believe the kitchen knife one a little bit more. But isn't that... Phew, mental, mate. Next one. On a flight this past October, having recently had my first...
Here's a big word.
Having had my first...
Diverticulitis flare-up.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's what it was. My lower intestine literally exploded from cabin pressure as soon as we got to cruising altitude. That's made me feel unwell. I was in seriously bad shape by the time we landed. Spent a week in a hospital out of state and then had to drive home and spend another 2 weeks in and out of hospitals where I live. Oh, this has made me feel a bit unwell. I don't know why. Didn't get 1 minute of our tropical vacation. Oh, no, I don't think you did get 1 minute of your tropical vacation. No one ever said don't fly, and half of the doctors don't believe it was the cabin pressure. But if you've ever had... Oh, the big word again. Diverticulitis. You cannot fly for the military or government. So they know, but not many doctors know. How is that possible? How can people in the army know and not doctors know? There are doctors in the army. It's been another month since then, and I just started to be able to move around again. Oh. Can you imagine? No, I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine. That made me feel a bit...
Your tummy exploded.
One more. My dog has a nasty habit of scratching the door in the middle of the night. One evening, she wouldn't stop scratching the door for any reason. After calling her 5 times, I threw a pillow towards the door to make her stop. That's when she barked from right beside me. She'd been next to me the whole time. If that's not a spooky story to end on before the commercial break, then I don't know what is. If you are listening on the podcast, we will be right about.